Vita Health Group provide this exercise class with your health and safety in mind. Each individual participant has their own limitations and should consult their general practitioner or an appropriate medical professional prior to undertaking the class. Should you be prone to injury, are currently pregnant, or be managing any functional limiting medical conditions, please seek medical confirmation prior to participating. At all times, ensure you follow all instructions provided by Vita Health Group throughout the entirety of the recording. Should you experience any symptoms of dizziness, nausea, or increased pain at any point during your participation, please stop and seek the appropriate advice from your general practitioner or the 111 service.
Hi guys, my name is Shauna and I'll be doing your Strength at Home class today. So this class is aimed at building strength whilst at home. So we're going to go into our full body warm up in a moment. So if you want to grab a quick drink and have a quick moment before we get started with the main workout. Okay, so moving on to our warm-up, we're going to start with our hands on our rib cage and we're going to do some deep breathing just to practice engaging our core. So place your hands on the side of your ribs and you're going to take a nice deep breath in through your nose, expand at your rib cage into your hands, and then on that out breath, pull that rib cage in and down, simultaneously trying to pull your belly button in and up. And again, so nice deep breath into the rib cage and out. Really pull that belly button in and up, and 3 more. Pull that rib cage together on that out breath. And next we're going to go into our neck rolls to warm up our neck muscles. So looking straight forward, having your hands down by your sides, you're going to look over to the left gently and then roll your head down and around over to the right and bringing it back to the center. And then we're going to go over to the right, bringing it down and around and back to the center, and then repeat that again. So looking over to the left, slowly rolling your head down and around over to that right, and then back to the middle, back over to the right, and all the way down back to the left, and then return back to center. And then we are going to go into our shoulder rolls. So again, having your hands down by your sides, we are going to roll our shoulders up to our ears and back and up and back. And we're going to do 10 of these going backwards. Really pinch your shoulder blades together. Really exaggerate the movement. And then when you're ready, we're going to reverse and go in the opposite direction. So going forward. So again, keeping it the same, bringing those shoulder blades together at the back. And then once you've done 10 of those, you're going to relax, bring those shoulders down and away from those ears. And then we're going to lift our arms up in front. So they're about parallel with the floor, and you're going to grasp your hands together. And then we're just going to do some torso rotations. So from here, we're going to rotate over to the left slightly. Keep your gaze in line with your hands. And then come back to the middle. And then rotate over to the right. And back to the middle. And again. And over to the right. Nice and controlled. And just do to whatever range of motion is comfortable for you. So just warming up that spine. And then one more either side, coming back to the middle, going over to the left. And then finally back over to the right. And then relax your arms down by your sides. And then we're going to go into, so we're going to bring our arms up overhead. Clasp your fingers together at the top, turn your palms towards the ceiling. And then from here, we're going to take a slight reach over to the left. And then back to the middle. And again, slight reach over to the right. And then back to the middle. And again, just go to whichever range of motion feels comfortable. Really reach over. And then one more on either side. Bring your hands back to the middle and bring your arms down by your sides. So next we're going to go into a bit of a lower body warm up. So we're going to do some squats. So front on for squats, we want our feet about shoulder width apart, toes facing forwards or can be slightly outwards. And we're going to bend at the knee and the hip simultaneously till we're about parallel to the floor. So side on so that you can see that. And so hips a little bit below your knees if possible, but again, just for the ease, go to whichever range of motion feels comfortable. So we're doing about 10 of these. Keeping that gaze forwards, making sure those knees are in a line with those toes, they're pointing in the same direction as your toes. And slowly come back up. And then finally, we're going to finish with marching on the spot. So again, it might be best just front on, showing you feet about hip width apart, toes facing forwards, hands can be on your hips, down by your sides, whatever's comfortable. And we're just going to start by slowly marching on the spot. So you can bring your knee up to about hip height or just below, whatever's comfortable for you. And then side on. So when we're marching here, we want to try and keep it a little bit more controlled. So again, trying to engage that core like we did in the beginning. And then a few more. And for 3, 2, and last one, and relax. So that is our warm-up finish. So if you want to grab a quick drink, and then we'll head on to the main session. So firstly, we're going to go into our first exercise. It's going to be predominantly targeting the lower body. It is going to be bodyweight squats with an overhead raise. So no weights needed for this exercise, so just body weight. So front on for this one, we want to have our feet about a little bit like shoulder width apart, toes can be turned out slightly, and you can have your hands on your hips to start just to get into position. You want to tuck your pelvis under slightly so that your ribs are stacked on top of your hips. And then we are going to come down and simultaneously raise our arms overhead as we go into that squat. So from side on, it's probably easier to show. Again, same position, gaze is forward, raising our arms up overhead as we come down, and you want to come down till about just your thighs are just below parallel to the floor. And you can opt out of the overhead raise if that's not comfortable for you and just do regular squats. You can go to a depth that feels more comfortable for you. So for example, you can do partials if that is more comfortable, or you can pop a chair or a sofa, something that isn't going to move or that isn't too low behind you for security if you'd like to, and you can do sit to stand. So again, it'd be the same. You can either just do regular squats into the sofa. Try not to sit down too far back if it's a soft seat. So just tapping down and returning to standing. So getting started, we're going to go for our 30 seconds of our squats with overhead raise. So 3, 2 and 1. So keeping those knees in line with those toes throughout. Don't let those knees cave inwards. Trying to keep your gaze forward and think about pressing that floor away. And if you're trying the overhead raise and you'd like to go back to regular squats if it's not comfortable, that's completely okay. Nice and controlled. And 4, 3, 4, 2, and 1. And relax. So take a 30-second break. Right, so going into our second exercise of the main workout, we have got an upper body exercise. It's going to be predominantly targeting our back muscles and our triceps on the back of our arms. So I've got my weights here. So you can use no weights as well, or you can use, anything you've got around the house, water bottles, tins, cans. Ideally something that's not too heavy and two things of equal weight if you are using weights. So it's easier just to show you from the side for this one. So holding your dumbbells down by your sides or whatever weights you're using, roll your shoulders down and back. Palms are facing in towards the body. And then from here, we're going to push our hips back, keeping a slight bend in the knee and lower our torso towards the floor. So it's just above parallel. Our arms are extended. And then we are going to pull our elbows up into a row and then extend into that tricep extension. Slowly come back down. And again, like so. And like I said, you can opt for whatever weights you've got available or do without weight. If you're not using weight, you can slow down the motion and think about moving through like water or honey and using your own body's resistance instead. So going into our first round. So we've got 30 seconds of our bent over row into tricep extension. And 3, 2, and 1, and row. Nice and controlled, keeping those elbows close to your sides. Really squeeze that tricep at the top. Slow and controlled on the way down, so making sure that you're not dropping those weights or dropping your arms down. Keeping that control both ways through. Nearly there. And 4, 3, 4, 2, and last one, and relax. Slowly lower your weights down. So that was our first round. Have a quick rest, have a quick drink, and we've got a 30-second break. Okay, so moving on to our next exercise. So we're going to be targeting our upper body muscles for this one and also coming down onto the floor potentially. So we're going to be targeting our chest, a bit of our shoulders and our triceps. So if you're coming down onto the floor, going onto your mat, or if you've got a carpeted area, just something that is comfortable on the floor so that you're not going to be on a hard floor surface, and ideally something that's not going to slip around too much either. So we're going into a press up variation. So from here, coming onto your hands and knees, you want your wrist to be in line with your shoulder, hands about shoulder width apart or a little bit wider. And then for here, let me move forward a little bit. You can walk those knees back slightly. Toes can be tucked under or crossed over. And then we're going to take a nice deep breath in and come down and press all the way up. You can do them from the wall, for example, if doing them from kneeling feels a little bit challenging or you're struggling to maintain form. So doing them from the wall, standing, or if you wanted to make them a little bit more challenging, you can do full press-ups on your feet instead of kneeling instead. So we're going to get started. So get yourself into position, hands about shoulder width apart, wrists in line with your shoulders. Walk those knees back if possible. And then tuck those hips under and in 3, 2, and 1. And come down. Think about pressing that floor away. Again, engaging those core muscles, pulling that belly button in and up, and making sure that when you come all the way up to the top, you're keeping a soft bend in those elbows. So we're not completely locking out those elbows at the top. And 4, 3, 4, 2, and last one, and come all the way up. And that is our first round of kneeling press-ups finished. So grab a quick drink if you need. So moving on to our next exercise. So again, we're going into an upper body exercise. We're going to go into weighted lateral raises. So I've got the dumbbells again. Again, you can use anything as resistance that you've got to hand at home. So things like water bottles, tins, cans, ideally something that's not too heavy, and 2 things of equal weight if you are going to be using resistance. However, with the previous exercise, you can just use your own body weight as resistance and practice that movement that way instead, if that's preferred. So starting position, feet are about hip width apart, finding a comfortable stance. We're going to have our weights in each hand, palms facing towards the body, shoulders down and back, and they're slightly out in front. There's a soft bend in those elbows, and then we are going to raise them till they're about parallel with the floor. So not going any higher than parallel, keeping that soft bend in your elbows as you raise up to each side, and then side on. Again, shoulders down and back, slight bend in those arms, and raising like so. So yeah, feel free to adjust the resistance that you're using or opt for no resistance. And we're going to go for our first set of those. So get ready. We've got 30 seconds of lateral raises in 3, 2, and 1. So nice and controlled, keeping that soft bend in the elbows and making sure that when you come all the way down, you are keeping that controlled as well. So we're not letting the arms come down too fast. Well done. Nearly there. And 4, 3, 4, 2, and 4, 1, and slowly lower those weights back down by your side and relax. So we're going to have a quick break again. So take 30 seconds, grab a quick drink, have a rest. Right, so moving on to our final set of our dead bugs. So our last exercise in this main workout before we move on to our cool down. So get yourselves ready, get back into position, coming back down onto your mat, lying back down. Hands down by the sides. Again, finding that position, tucking your pelvis under, pulling that belly button in and up towards that spine. Coming up into that tabletop position, arms extended towards the ceiling. And our final 30 seconds in 3, 2, and 1. Nice and controlled. And if you feel that your lower back is pulling away from the floor, just come back into that tabletop position and hold or take a break. The most important thing is that you're able to keep that lower back in contact with the floor for these. Keep going. And for 3, for 2, and for 1. Come back in and relax. And coming all the way up, and well done guys. That is everything for our main workout, our last set. So grab a quick drink, have a quick rest, and we're going to move on to our cool down to close things off shortly. Okay guys, moving on to our cool down for today's session. So we're just basically going to be stretching some of the muscles that we've worked and working on bringing our heart rate back down after the main workout. So staying on the floor again for these first couple of stretches, we are going to come onto our back and go into a lying knee to chest stretch. So coming all the way down. Extend one leg, so we can extend that right leg, and then bringing that left leg as close to the chest that feels comfortable for you, and holding for 10 seconds on each side. So nice deep breaths through each stretch, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then slowly when you're ready, again extending that left leg and then bringing that right leg up towards the chest. Again, nice deep breaths. Try and relax into the stretch. And coming out. And then staying on the floor, we're going to come into a child's pose. So onto your knees, sitting back onto those heels, you want to move your knees out to the side slightly so that your torso can fit through. And then we're going to walk our hands forwards, really elongate your spine through your fingertips and sitting back onto those heels. Head is down and nice deep breaths. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And then we're going to walk our hands over to the left slightly. And really think about sitting that right sit bone down on your heel and feel that nice stretch. Again, holding here. And then walking back to center. We're going to walk our hands over to the right. So anchoring that left sit bone down. Nice deep breaths. And then coming back into the center and slowly peeling back up off the floor. Roll those shoulders back and then staying kneeling if you can, or you can also do these from standing. We're going to do a little bit of a chest stretch. So placing those hands on our lower back, we're going to push our chest out as much as we can. Arms nice, elbows nice and wide, and just holding again for about 10 seconds. And slowly relax. And then from here, we're going to go into a upper back stretch. So extending our arms out, fingers interlaced in front. You can turn your palms away or keep them in front. We're going to reach forward, think about pulling our chest back and head is down slightly, and that upper back is going to round, but you're going to feel that nice stretch. So again, nice deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And slowly relax out of that one. So we're going to move back up to standing to finish off the rest of the cool down. So coming back up to a standing position, we're going to stretch out our quads. So it might be helpful if you have got a wall or a chair to your side just for balance. If not, don't worry. What we're going to do is we're going to come onto one leg and hold the foot with our hand, and we want to think about tucking our hips under and keeping our legs in line with one another if possible, and just holding. Again, nice deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth, and then repeating on to the other side. So again, if you need to hold on to something for support, don't worry. Tucking those hips under slightly, keeping those legs in line with one another as best as you can. And you should really feel that stretch down the front of your leg in your quads here. And then next, we're going to stretch down the back of our legs. So staying standing, keeping one leg slightly bent, we're going to extend one leg out in front of us, and we're going to completely straighten that leg. And then we're just going to come down to where it's comfortable, placing our hands on that upper thigh, and you should feel that stretch down in your hamstring and in your calves. And hold nice deep breaths. And then when you're ready, slowly coming up onto the other side. So again, we're on that heel, extending that leg in front. And keep holding. And then slowly coming back to standing, feet hip width apart. We are going to raise our arms up to the ceiling, take a nice deep breath. And then on that out breath, we're going to tuck our chin to our chest and slowly roll forwards, keeping that soft bend in your knee. And then in this position, if comfortable, we can slowly rock our hands over to either side of our feet, slightly side to side. Or you can try and bring your arms, hold each elbow, bring your chest in closer if that feels comfortable. And we can nod our head yes, shake our head no, and then nice deep breath. And on that exhale, we're going to slowly come back up, stacking your spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Head and shoulders come up last. And finally, to finish off, we're going to take some nice deep breaths. So again, like the breathing that we did in the beginning, taking some nice deep breaths to bring our heart rate back down. So in through the nose, expanding through that rib cage, and out through the mouth. And in through the nose, and out. And last one, nice deep breath. And out. And well done, guys. That is our Strength at Home class finished. Well done for making it through today. I hope you enjoyed and you're feeling great. So have a lovely rest of your day, and that will be it for today.